Joe and Jane were always together, said Joe to Jane.
I just love summer weather, so let's go to that beautiful sea. Follow along, say you're with me.
Now, anything that Joe would suggest to her, Jane would always think it was best for her. So he'd get his Ford, holler,
All aboard! Gee, I want to be by the sea, by the sea, by the beautiful sea. You and me, oh how happy we'll be. When each wave comes a-rolling in, we will sink or swim, and we'll float and fool around the water, over and under, and then up for air. Pa's rich, so now what do we care? I love to be beside your side, beside the seaside, by the beautiful sea. Hamburgers, hot dogs, ice cream, a soda pop, bathing suits, beach towels, sand cream and fishing poles. Take a chance and spin the wheel of fortune. Win a stuffed animal or a Cupid doll for the lady. Yes, that's right, up and ride the Ferris wheel and see the waves from 80 feet in the air. Do a loop-de-loop on the world's largest roller coaster. Come on, spin the nickel, spin the dime, for the sunshine and wonder by the waves. By the sea, by the beautiful sea.
You and me,
Oh, how happy we'll be. When each wave comes a-rolling in,
we will sink or swim, and we'll
float and fool around the water. We'll sit around with our white shoulders bare. Maybe we'll get a sunburn, but what do we care? I love to be beside your side, beside the seaside, by the beautiful seaside, by the beautiful seaside, by the beautiful sea.
What can we do as the general public to help the police? I mean, we want to let them know that we support them, and I know that they feel like even their own bosses, their government is not supporting them. So what can we do as a general public to support them?
I'm having the best meal of my life right now, but I'm going to take the time out to answer that question. Now, we live in a crazy world right now. All of our politicians that are aiding and abetting this lawless activity, but there's a spirit of lawlessness that's been unleashed in this country, like we've never seen before. That started in the 1960s. The seeds were sprinkled in the 60s. They grew up, and they now teach college courses. They run Hollywood. They're on news channels. They got the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, they're in the House of Reps and
So
Senate.
these liberal politicians, they still have on their tie-dyed T-shirts from Woodstock, but they're just wearing, they're underneath their coat and ties now. But all the mentality is all the same.
Right.
But as far as supporting police, I think most people know, most police officers, I believe, know that the vast majority of people in this country are still law-abiding people that do have their backs. But like anything else in a classroom, it's the problem children that get all the attention. It's not the 9 kids that are sitting there with their hands folded. It's the kid acting out, destroying the classroom.
Is there anything we can do, like, practically? I mean, we were wanting to, we went up to some police car, and the guy was sitting in there just, watching and making sure everything was okay. And we walked up to him and just said, hey, we just want to let you know that we were praying for you, we love you, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do something practical, but I know we can't really...
Bring donuts. bring hot, Krispy Kreme donuts to every precinct across the country. Unlimited hot Krispy Kreme.
When the hot light is on.
No, I would encourage people anytime they do get a chance to verbally or just with a thumbs up or something,
right.
Express some support to them, because they're working a shift and they have to deal with a variety of situations. Having been a police officer, you work the street, you see the worst that life has to offer. People don't invite police over because everything is going well.
Right.
Something's going horribly wrong,
Busy.
and they want the police to straighten it out.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the 3 most dangerous words you can say to anybody besides "I love you" are "you're under arrest."
Yeah.
Everything changes. Let me tell you, I've had people kick out the windows of my police car. I've been in knockdown, drag-out fights. I've seen it all. So it's a dangerous job. And if they want to put unarmed social workers out there
Oh my word.
and dismantle our armed police, have at it. Have at it. I would encourage those police officers not to take up another career because they're going to be called back very quickly.
That's
Okay.
many out now.
So I would encourage all these liberal communities and all these defund and dismantle your police departments. You are inviting, you're going to reap the whirlwind because there is a community of people in this country that gets up every day and lives to prey on other people.
Yep.
And our state prisons are full of them.
Yeah.
Busy,
Unless
quiet.
they
Having said that,
release the prisons.
Hezekiah.
just, any way you can, just some moral support or whatever, and vote out liberal, anti-law enforcement politicians. I don't know when it became racist to say I believe in law and order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of person that thinks it's a dirty term to say law and order, then you're either committing crime or you're supporting those that do. Either way, shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
It's really the big city mentality that's propagating all of it.
Classic. It's so classic.
Hey, Kent.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask you what it's like to be a Delta pilot.
Get to go to a lot of places, meet interesting people, and make your own schedule. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
And
Not for everybody though, but it works well for me.
How many years did you fly?
6.5 years in the Navy, and coming up on my 30th anniversary at Delta Airlines.
And
So professionally, almost 37 years.
oh, and were you ever scared?
Not really. No. Well, in the Navy, we used to do some crazy stuff, and we lose a lot of engines, and we were real low over the Pacific, tracking Russian submarines in the middle of the night sometimes, and that could be.
How do you
It'd get
track
your
them
attention.
in the middle of the night?
That's when the Ruskies come out. Back in the day.
And you adopted 2 Russian boys.
That's right. So we won the Cold War, and then we stole their children. So and we have 2 of them as our own. And now I got 5 grandkids that came from those Russian sons that we adopted. So that's pretty wonderful.
And how many grandchildren altogether?
15 as of last week. And the last grandson we had born, his name is Finn, and he was born from one of our Russian sons. So,
Days.
Yeah, you look like a young Billy Graham.
You do look like Billy Graham.
Okay,
Oh my
so
gosh.
Kent, you've opened your gracious arms and home to us many times, and I'm putting you on the spot because I have this show called the Vicki, Wicki, Wacky Show. Have you heard of it?
watched it and enjoyed it too. So.
What was your favorite part?
What I like that you do is you take the mundane and that you make it very interesting. You put me in your head, and I like that.
I put me in your head? Well, there is no mundane. Everything God made is an amazing miracle.
Everything has purpose.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you, because I'm very excited about going to Paris someday before I die, because I've only been there one day and I didn't get to see anything because the Gulf War was starting. I want to when I get scared of flying 12 hours straight, I think of you and I think, well, he flies to like other countries millions of times. Tell me, okay, how many times have you flown to Paris?
That was 1 year. That's pretty much all I did. So if you figure 2 or 3 times a month at least, times 12, it must have been 30, 40 times just in 1 year. But
How many hours flight is it?
from Atlanta, it's about 7.5 hours. It's not that far. And
Oh, that's all?
back, it's just a little bit longer because you have the headwinds going over the North Atlantic.
And so when you're flying over the ocean at night,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that scary? Everything's black. You can't even see what's up and down.
when you do that your whole career, it's mundane. You don't think of it that way. Yeah, it's
Do you just lean on the instruments?
Sure, a pilot has to trust his instruments.
Well, what if they
For
break?
sure.
Every machine I touch breaks.
You got so much redundancy. Yeah, there's you don't have to worry about that too much.
You mean you have a backup for a backup for a backup?
Certainly do. Yeah. So.
Okay, so
Okay.
when you got to Paris, the first time, what was the first thing you wanted to see?
We did, well, I had my wife with me. We were on vacation, so this wasn't actually a working trip, but we wanted to do the Louvre. That's an absolute must do, probably the most famous museum in the world, and everything is there. And Eiffel Tower, Sacré-Cœur, which is another beautiful church, Notre Dame.
Did you kiss Anne on the top of the Eiffel Tower?
I'm sure I probably did. That was a long time ago, but yes, it was a
I'm
romantic
sure you
moment.
did. That's my dream. Here's my final question. When did you meet Jesus Christ?
My testimony really isn't that impressive because I was raised in a Christian home and I just kind of grew up believing, you know. But now certainly as I grew older, I had a greater and greater revelation of who he was, and he became more and more important and real in my life. I can't say there was a watershed moment where I believe coming from not believing, but I was just raised in a Christian home.
You never had a rebellious period?
Well, I probably had a rebellious period, but it was more in my heart. It wasn't manifest. It wasn't really outward, you know. But yeah, just
because all of your how many children?
I got 3 siblings, all raised in a Christian home,
and all your children mostly love the Lord.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a great legacy. But what would you say to somebody who says, "I wish I could believe, but I can't"?
Well, I believe them when they say they can't believe because something supernatural has to happen. And
should they pray and ask for faith?
I think that's good. Yeah, and I think people that love those people should pray that they could have faith. But people who don't believe, you know, my sort of theology dictates that if they say they can't believe, maybe they really can't. But you pray. That,
what about the verse, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief? Remember the verse, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that may have a lot to do with trust. You know, you believe, but the trusting part is hard. You know, because life is hard.
And God's invisible.
Yeah.
Except in creation and in signs and wonders. Aww.
From the creation of the world are clearly seen. I'm trying to remember the exact verse.
Romans 1.
I think it's Romans 1. Romans 1, 19
I'll
and
look
20.
it up.
Because the things which may be made known of God are made known unto them because God has shown it unto them. Or it's manifest them because God has shown it to them.
So they are without excuse. Is that what you're getting
Yes,
to?
because from the things that have been made,
This is a comedy routine.
even his eternal power
And
Godhead, so that they were without excuse. I'm trying to think of the exact verse.
Ken's looking it up.
Is it Romans 1, 19 and 20, or am I getting mixed up something else? You're in pretty good literary company. You're wedged in between. You're wedged in between the handwriting on the wall and Israel in the New Covenant.
There you go.
I just happened to see that.
See?
You're
You're flanked by Presbyterians.
Yeah,
That's got to be really annoying to you.
You're
Is Gary DeMar's God and Government?
But I love Presbyterians. That's why I'm
You're
here.
sandwiched in between Calvinists.
Look at the Geneva Bible.
I want to show him. Now, Paul, your husband has not read this book yet, and there's a really steamy scene in here
Yeah.
that
What
we need to
page?
read about. I forgot
Does
because
it
it's been a
involve
while.
me?
Oh, but look at that.
Does it involve me?
Oh, it involves you very much.
Oh, okay. Well,
He doesn't want to be on my shoulder.
More than you care to know, I'm sure.
yeah.
You know what? You never even autographed this book.
that's
Well, I better autograph it.
Yeah, you should save something special.
I'm gonna go look up the steamy scene and put it on my
Have you forgotten
shelf.
about the steamy scene?
I forgot the
Well,
whole
there have been so
book.
many, Ken.
Okay, so what's the significance of the Geneva Bible 1599?
1599, it's believed that the 1599 is actually the one that came over on the Mayflower, since the what do you call it?
Pilgrims, Puritans,
the Puritans.
Mayflower,
Right.
Plymouth Rock. This is the Bible that came
This
here?
is probably the one. It's Marshall Foster believes this is the Bible that came over on the Mayflower.
Okay, and let's look up Romans 1:9 or
Romans.
1:19 or whatever.
I think it's Romans 1:19.
Right there.
That seeketh God.
Okay, Kent's
Right.
soteriology, what does that mean? I learned it in Bible.
How one
The-
believes,
it's the
comes
study
to
of
believe.
salvation?
Yeah.
The study of salvation. His soteriology says, "There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh God." Okay, now where's the one Paul
What
is
is
talking
Romans
about?
1:19? That's the one.
Okay,
Is that it?
Paul got it right.
1:19.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all godly. For as much as that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it to them.
Right, yeah, that
For
really
the-
hits you hard when it says, I've showed you everything I need to show
Yeah.
you. Look
For-
around you.
Yeah, for
If you want
the
to deny that, go ahead.
That's right.
Do it at your own peril.
for,
Basically.
for the invisible things of him.
Himself in nature.
that is-
Absolutely.
Paul, I'm trying to read the. For the invisible things of him, that is his eternal power and Godhead, are seen by the creation of the world, being considered in his works, to the intent that they should be without excuse. That means people are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their thoughts, and their foolish heart was full of darkness. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. They turned the glory of the incorruptible God to the image of corruptible man, birth, peace. So God gave them up to their heart lusts unto uncleanness, to defile their own bodies between themselves, which turned the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature, forsaking the Creator. But this cause God gave them up to vile affections. And then it says all those sins. But what is the hope? 3:23, all have sinned. Romans 6:23, wages of sin is death. The gift hey, look at this. Romans 6:23.
That's right. 6:23 is one
For
of
the
best
wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord.
And sort of the predecessor to that is Romans 3:20.
He's so pretty. Do you see that, dear Huzzy? Well, don't make me wiggle. Hi, dear. There she goes. There she goes. Come closer. This really is red dirt. Look, I found more deer. How exciting is that? Oh, there they go. There they go. You stay just far enough away for me to see you. You hiding behind the tree? Hi. Piloting large vehicles is Kent's forte. Let's see if he can get us. There's 6 inches on either side. Delta jets and now large yachts. I'm impressed.
That's why he gets the big bucks.
On this side.